Okay? So now let's get back on track. That's sort of an extended footnote, but an important footnote. Okay, so again, my point was, other than tax bills, which must begin in the House of Representatives, any other bill can begin in either chamber of Congress. So if it's an environmental bill, dealing with some environmental issue, if it is something dealing with banking issues, if it's something dealing with military issues or foreign policy issues, either chamber, the House or the Senate. And we're going to start on the House side. Okay? The first thing that happens once the bill is introduced into the House of Representatives, and by the way, who can introduce a bill into the House of Representatives? That's not the same question as saying who can come up with the idea for the bill. The idea for the bill can come from just about anyone. It can come from members of Congress, it can come from the President, it can come from cabinet secretaries, it can come from bureaucrats in the executive branch, it can come from lobbyists for interest groups. Just about anybody can come up with the idea for a bill, but what we're asking here is a technical question. Who can introduce a bill into the House of Representatives? Any guesses? Yeah.
The executive branch?
No. No, it's not the executive branch. The answer is only a member of the House of Representatives can actually introduce a bill into the House of Representatives. Okay? Now, once that happens, okay, we call them sponsors, the sponsor of the bill. It's not the same thing as the coming up with the idea of the bill or even writing the bill, for that matter. Somebody else may write the bill, but a member of the House has to sponsor the bill, has to introduce the bill. And sometimes there are multiple sponsors, more than one sponsor. Okay? Anyway, once that happens, and the bill is logged by the clerk of the House and given some number like House Resolution 2482 or something like that, the first thing that happens is that it is referred to the full committee, what we call the standing committee. The full standing committee. Now, there are a number of these in the House of Representatives. Here is the list in the 113th Congress, and I don't think it's any different in the 114th Congress. You can see that there's something like 24 standing committees, and that they are organized around substantive policy areas. So, for example, the House Agriculture Committee, the House Armed Services Committee, the House Education and the Workforce Committee, Energy and Commerce, Foreign Affairs, Homeland Security, Veterans Affairs, Small Business, Science, Space, and Technology. That's what I mean by when I say they're organized around substantive policy areas. So if this bill that we're talking about, okay, is this bill that's introduced in the House of Representatives, let's say it is it deals with an agricultural issue. It's a farm bill, F-A-R-M, farm bill, okay? Which of these committees do you think it might be referred to? Let's go back to the list. Which of these, I'm trying to give you one that should be obvious, right? Which of these committees do you think that it would be referred to? Sure, the House Agriculture Committee. The House Agriculture Committee is going to have jurisdiction over this bill. Now, what that means as a practical matter in the legislative process is that there are a number of things that can happen once the bill is reported to the standing committee. In this example, the House Agriculture Committee. Okay? So let's run through these real quick. The first option is that the committee can report the bill back to the floor with or without a recommendation. Okay? Everybody with me, on board, right? So this bill is introduced into the House, it's referred to the full committee, and the full committee just sort of kicks it back to the chamber and says, we are reporting this bill back to the floor with a recommendation that it pass, or we're reporting this bill out to the floor with a recommendation that it not pass, or we're just reporting this bill out to the floor and we have no recommendation at all. All of those are possibilities. So that can happen, but it's not a very likely thing that's going to happen at this point. We have to put it on the list because it's at least possible that that can happen, but it's not a very likely thing. More likely is the second thing, that they're going to amend the bill. They're going to make changes to the bill in the markup process, what's called the markup process, and then report the bill out to the floor, again, with or without a recommendation.